Hi everyone, welcome back to The Grind. So good to have you. So today we are talking about Matthew, the second last of this series where we're going through the lives of the 12 apostles, or rather 7 of the 12 apostles. And so yes, we have Matthew.
Who was a tax collector,
Yep.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
by trade.
Yeah.
So, seeing as he's a tax collector, have you guys done your taxes yet?
To be honest, for me, now that me and Rachel, we pretty much have a joint account, so
Yeah.
she does pretty much all of the workload. Thank you, babe.
What?
Wow.
So I don't really do much.
You know, it's one of those things that is actually doesn't take a lot of effort to do, but then it's just, I'm like, oh, sorry, it doesn't take effort to do, and then
But it's a lot of hassle, though.
it's a lot of hassles, like you have to fill ads, like then you finally remember, it's like, oh no, it's like one day I need
It's
10
like
minutes.
minimal effort, maximum trepidation.
Yeah, pretty much how you're.
So
yeah.
I have just gone through my annual panic, and that one day a year I go down to the front desk and ask for a stamp. Because it's the only letter I mail all year.
But yes, Matthew is a tax collector, and I guess, what do you call our modern day equivalent? Like, you don't call someone like, "Hi, what do you do as a work?" "I'm a tax collector." What do you call those people these days?
Bureaucrats.
Shh.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't know. They work for Inland Revenue.
yeah.
Actually, that's a good question. I don't
Yeah,
know
because it's
do
not
they-
what
do
would they
call
say on their name card? Like Matthew would give his name card, but like, "Hello, I'm Matthew,
The tax collector."
right? So, anyways, that's something to think about. But yes, you have Matthew, who is a tax collector, and these days, I mean, like, yeah, it's part of the life. You've got people evading tax. I mean, somehow tax is like
them?
it's true. Like it's such
Yeah.
like a big deal. Right? You read on the news like, oh, person in jail for evading tax.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
celebrities,
yeah.
blah 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 blah. Right? And then like it just seems so normal now. And I guess back in the day, tax collector, it's more of like you gotta pay your taxes, and tax collectors were not
Necessarily honest, huh?
yeah, not necessarily honest, and they weren't exactly the most popular, and I guess they were much hated by the crowds because they're also known as very dishonest people. And so actually, fun fact that we also heard Pastor Ed share is that Matthew was also called Levi. So what do you think the name like Levi tells us about him?
Like, you know how people go on the run and change their identity?
This is it.
This is the biblical
So you mean like
version of
Jason
that.
Bourne?
Yeah.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah, so instead of Jason Bourne, it was whatever his name was in the film. But no, I think it's like he had a life before and then he met Jesus, so his name changed to Matthew or something like
Yeah.
But actually, in the Bible, there are several people who've been like this, right? Like their names. have
Yeah, the
been
name changed. Like
changed.
for example, Abram is Abraham.
Yeah.
Jacob is Israel. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and so usually a name change, signifies something.
New
But
creation, I
that.
guess.
Like an encounter with God.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's exactly what happened here. Besides being being on the run, being in denial.
Being on the run, or just being on the following.
Let's be
Being on the
clear,
following- Being on the run for
Matthew
Jesus.
was not on the run.
Being on the run for Jesus. There we
He
go.
was not a fugitive from the law.
Or because he was the executor of the law. Anyways. But I'm pretty sure, like, whenever people saw Matthew, they'd probably be like, "Get away from me," or treat them. I mean, like, think about it. Like, we don't have friends who are tax collectors, right?
They wouldn't be my friends.
There we go.
But
So
I'm
likewise, like Matthew wouldn't necessarily be considered a friend of people.
Yeah.
Right? And actually watching The Chosen and how they portray Matthew's like the really weird one that no one wants to talk to. So I would imagine it to be somewhat similar in real life. But anyways, so Pastor Ed talked about just the different, people, the different facts about Matthew, and some of the things that we already know. But I think one thing about Matthew is that he's very systematic with the way he details stuff,
Organized.
and organized
Yeah.
with his thoughts. And it's interesting how I guess it was written for a Jewish audience, and it was talking a lot about like fulfilling like Old Testaments and everything.
Yeah.
But one thing that I actually didn't realize about Matthew was like how he potentially could have had like a brother as part of the disciples as well, right? Like being the son of Alphaeus, it was mentioned,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
then it was
yeah.
like James, the son of Alphaeus as well. And Alphaeus isn't exactly a common name, like he was joking like how like John is a common name, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I can count the number of Johns and the number of Joshes on my hands or not, And so Alphaeus is such an uncommon name. So seeing that this is potentially siblings, right? So, we see the disciples being known by sons of Zebedee, blah, 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 whatever, right? But this one, he specifically calls himself Matthew, not like, hi, my dad is Alphaeus. So it's got to be real kind of dicey, right? Like, something going on between.
If your brother is so much more popular than you.
Yeah.
Probably like just have him do something else.
It's like, please, no. So, I guess maybe a question is, I'm sure that needed to have been some reconciliation happening between those two. And maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't, who knows, it was never recorded, right? But I guess I can't imagine confrontation to be really easy. But how would you say you do, like how do you do with confrontation personally?
I'm bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really good at confrontation. Like before the confrontation is happening, I'm already thinking what to say. But when it happens, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got you, mean. We're all good. We're all good.
Everything goes out the window.
Yeah,
everything is fine.
Yeah, I'm actually still learning how to kind of like talk in a way that you could explain what you wanted to say. But yeah, confrontation is something that I'm not really good at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Typically a male response in that you walk away and let everything fester until it reaches a boiling point and you just get everything out. It's real
That's
healthy.
pretty true.
It's real healthy.
It's
I don't recommend it.
It's a real universal male response right there.
Hence why there are a lot of heart attacks for guys.
I see. Wow, Rico.
Because it's always just bubbling under the surface.
I see. So you were saying,
you know what?
yeah, just as about your to confront, die.
Yeah, that's why I don't recommend it.
Yeah. I think I do a good job of being passive aggressively confrontation. When people aren't supposed to be doing something, like, well, someone should be doing that, shouldn't they? That kind of thing. So that's my version of confrontation sometimes. But I know this is kind of weird, but sometimes I find it harder to confront family than to confront friends. Like, I think it's easier to kind of like have a sit down with friends and say stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think there's different levels. I think it's easier to confront someone if you have no relationship with, I think for me. But like when you have a closer relationship with this person, I find it harder to confront this person. Just because
because there's a relationship you're trying to take care of.
You don't want to mess it up.
And sometimes you're not even sure of how will they handle that confrontation.
Yeah, like I've been in situations where, obviously like my brother would confront me about stuff and it's painful, not gonna lie, but it needs to be done. And so it's definitely more painful with family than with friends.
True.
And also like to how to broach the topic as well with family, that's even harder. So I can imagine like, with Matthew and his brother, it's gonna be like tricky, right? Number one, Matthew is not really well liked because of tax collector. So just imagine within the family if you had I guess what's the equivalent of like a profession that no one likes? Can't think of that. If I say anything, I might offend someone.
I have something, but I don't want to say it either.
Just say it, and Dom can cut it out.
HR.
That is so
That's
true.
true. Anyways, so back on track. So just imagine, if someone in the family with a profession that that is not well favored, and then you don't have a good relationship with them, like how do you even like broach a topic of reconciliation?
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, and I'm sure all of us have our own situations where we reconcile with someone. How was that process for you?
I think it's like doing your taxes.
You avoid it?
No. It's really painful when you have to do it.
Oh, okay.
But then after it's done, it's like, oh, okay, finally.
Yeah.
It's a relief after it's done.
Yeah.
Either way, like even if it doesn't end in like a particularly positive way, at least you did what you could to maybe salvage that relationship, and then if it's not meant to be, then
it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
But you've done your part.
Yeah.
I think so far, in my experience with reconciliation, I think I'm grateful that most of the people that I've kind of confronted and spoke to, we have better relationship after that confrontation.
Yeah.
Like
Sure,
that,
yeah.
that reconciliation and just being able to understand, like, okay, so that's where you're at and that's where I at, so we can be able to still be friends and
Yeah.
past that awkwardness.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's true, because like I've noticed that the friends that I've been through, like, you know, tough times where I actually had like fights with and confrontation, we tend to come out to be stronger friends.
Yeah.
And then there are friends that I have conversation with, and then we're just, I guess, cruising. So there's no, like, you know, it's just like, they're there in my life, you know? So I think, yeah, confrontation can either make the friendship stronger or just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, like you said, once it's done, at least you've done your part,
Yeah.
and it's good.
Yeah.
And so we'll just leave it in like God's hand.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, like, you know, yes, reconciling with, like, you know, your own siblings, you know, your
Yeah.
own, or maybe like someone at church, or even, I think the hardest person sometimes to be reconciled with is people in authority, because who initiates, right? Do you initiate? Do they initiate? You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, but you know, Matthew had a 180 degree change in his life, and you know, he basically, you know, became, I guess, one of the basically an eyewitness to what Jesus did, and you know, wrote down everything. And one of the things that he did was he invited and organized a great feast in his house and shared his faith with his non-believing friends. And I think these days evangelism, you know, is something that we can definitely grow in. But like, you know, and definitely a tricky topic as well, you know, speaking about Jesus to people, because I think everyone has a preconceived notion about Jesus and about Christianity and so on. So I guess, how would you, I guess, so if we were to host a great feast and invite your non-believing friends, like, how is it going to look like? You know, like, what, I guess, how would you, I guess to put it simply, how would you tell someone about Jesus?
Right. I think you kind of hit on it a little bit before. I don't think the model of a great feast actually fits in 2022.
No, I'm sorry. It's just going to be, you have to do a rapid
A great
test.
feast of 8 people.
Yeah.
A great feast of 8 people. So you only can pick 7 of your friends.
I mean, besides that, like, each person has their, like you said, has their own image of Christianity, of Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, you have to put on a great feast, so to speak, for each individual person.
That's true, actually. Like a cater experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very true.
I mean, for me, if it's gonna be what a feast would look like for me, is just a typical Filipino feast, like a budol
fight?
fight. Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Nice.
So yeah, pretty much. And then your non-believing friends will be bringing another non-believing friend, and until you realize your whole community is there just because of that friend.
And you're out of food.
And
You're out of food
yeah,
till you talk about Jesus at the end.
and God will multiply.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the way I would do it is to meet people where they're at, right? Because I think very rarely I mean, no one wants to have religion forced down their throat, whether it's Christianity or Islam or anything else. Like, no one likes the idea of forcing, you know, into something. And so I like how, was it Saint Francis of Assisi or something? Or I forget who, I might be misquoting his saint, like, your actions speak louder than your words.
Yeah.
Like, what was that phrase? Like, anyways, basically, if necessary, use words. Like, act in love, and if necessary, use words.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I think this past week I've been reflecting on, like, do my actions actually show the love of Christ? You know, I talk a lot about it, but do they actually, you know, show the love of Christ? And I think people appreciate vulnerability, appreciate, you know, honesty. And I think just to show people that you care, I think basically breaks the first layer. And then once they know that you care, then you actually have that sort of like doorway to actually speak into their life. So kind of like understanding where people are at, you know, before. Because I think we live in a generation that's super me-centered. You know, what can you do for me, right? How is Christianity fit for me? And I think we just have to, in a way, adapt to communicate
Through that, right?
through that, because like with Jesus, he was very relevant in that day and age. He spoke in miracles. He spoke in parables. He, you know, did miracles, and people believed and saw. You know, and I think we just have to recognize the culture that we live in these days is so different.
Yeah, and I think also, like you said, because people are so like in general are quite self-centered.
Yeah.
Having that in our mindset of like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on you,
Yeah.
and then once you kind of be more personal
Yeah.
into them, then they would be more open and willing to understand a bit more about Christ. And if
Yeah.
they see your intention and
Yeah.
your how do you say, like genuinity,
Yeah, yeah,
genuinity,
yeah, yeah,
genuinity.
Yeah, sure.
that
Yeah, I
one.
get what you're saying.
Then, of course, they're gonna be asking.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have that I don't? Who do you have? I don't.
Yeah. Like, why are you so different, right? Why are
Yeah.
you the way you are?
Yeah,
You know, why are you
exactly.
the way
Why
you
are
are?
you the way that you are?
In a non-sarcastic way,
Yeah, sorry.
but yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm sure people, again, like I said, you know, being a tax collector during those times, I think, like, everyone wouldn't have known who Matthew is.
Yeah.
And so basically they saw Matthew, they saw the change. They must be realizing like what brought that change in this person's life, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just like recently we heard this testimony from one of our like ex-youth. He was sharing his life change, and I'm like, I definitely saw a change from that kid that walked in to who he is now. I'm like, dude is a completely different person, you know, and that's really just the power of Jesus. And I think his life as a testimony like speaks volumes. So yeah, I think wherever you are, you know, God can change something in your life, and God can use your life story to also impact people,
Amen.
to bring people to Jesus. So I think just ask God for open doors, and you know, ask to see things from His perspective, to love people like He does, and so just know that you have the power to change people's lives and to bring Jesus wherever you are. So yeah, look for opportunities to bless people, and yeah, I think that's it for us.
Yahoo.
Thank you for, you know, discussing Matthew, and we'll see you
Great series.
next grind, where we talk about the final apostle in the picture, Peter. It's gonna be a great discussion. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.